Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. Welcome to Sketch and Brew, where we sip something caffeinated, sketch, learn to become better artists together. I'm Tom. In today's video, I'm gonna break down how to draw a manga character. Like I said in my previous video, I recently rewatched the old school 90s anime Ghost in the Shell, and it inspired me to want to learn how to draw an anime and manga character. And then I remembered, since I was a kid, I've had this book, How to Draw Manga, just lying around. I never opened it up or tried to learn from it. And so, I thought to myself, hey, this is the perfect opportunity for me to try a tutorial and then give the information to you so we could learn together. Alright, with the intro down, let's just jump right on into it. I start out by drawing a large circle in the upper middle of my paper. I'm using my mechanical pencil with 0.3 HB lead, perfect for drawing the underlying structure of the character's head. I let the natural curve of my wrist guide my pencil strokes as I sketch, and then I clean up the edges with my kneaded eraser. Next, I draw a vertical curved line on the right side of the circle. I'm making a 3/4 side view, so this line divides the left and right sides of the face. Then, I identify the middle of the circle and draw a horizontal line there. I want to know where the middle is so I can accurately place the eye line underneath it. From there, I draw a vertical curved line and an ellipse on the far left of the circle. These guides mark the side plane of the face and will help me know where to draw the ear later. The mid-circle guideline is no longer needed, so I go ahead and erase it. Now, I draw the chin with 2 curved lines that converge on the vertical dividing line I sketched earlier. Then, I mark where the nose will be placed by drawing a horizontal line that starts at the bottom of the ellipse on the left side of the head. With the guides for the head laid out, I proceed to map out the neck. I draw 2 curved vertical lines, one near the bottom of the ellipse on the left and another on the right near the point of her chin. With the underlying structure completely laid out, let's quickly recap. This vertical line here divides the left and right hemispheres of the face. This horizontal line tells me where to place the eyes. The line underneath that marks where the nose will go. The mouth will be positioned near the bottom of the circle here. Finally, this vertical line and ellipse on the far left mark the side plane of the face and indicate where to draw the ear. Alright, cool. Now let's jump back into drawing the manga character's facial features. I draw the eyebrows thin with a nice flowing arch, then get started on the eyes. I draw the upper lid first, giving it a strong curved shape, while the bottom one has a softer curve. For the irises, I make them oversized and expressive. Notice also that the outer corners of the eyes are softly tapered and upward angled, with the sharpest point falling squarely on the eye line. When it comes to drawing manga characters, the key is simplification and stylization. I want to draw all the facial features more or less where they are supposed to go, but the stylized aspect of manga characters gives artists the freedom to create anatomical features that don't quite conform to reality, like really large and expressive eyes. And when it comes to manga characters, the eyes are one of the most important aspects. Next, I clean up the outer contour on the right side of her face, specifically in the transition plane of the eye socket between the brow above and the cheekbone below. Then, with 2 simple lines, I draw the nose, making sure its point lands on my guideline. From there, I draw the mouth with a single curved line. Happy with how everything is placed, I erase the construction lines I no longer need so my drawing doesn't get cluttered. Then, I add a subtle curved line under her mouth to suggest the bottom of her lower lip. I left some of the construction lines on the side of her face intact, so it'll help me place the ear. Basically, the upper part that connects to the head falls on the eye line, and the bottom falls near the nose line. I don't add a lot of detail to the ear. Simply drawing a few lines to suggest the inner parts is really enough. In the upper right of her irises, I draw small ellipses to mark the highlights. I also draw her pupils and add some shading, only omitting the area set aside for the highlights and the lower half of her irises, where the light would be strongest. Feeling good with how her facial features are looking, I take a moment to darken and refine the shape of everything. Not wanting to leave her looking like the ancient one from Doctor Strange, I jump into drawing her hair. In the spirit of Major Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell, I give her short spiky hair, perfect for a character who is both physically fit and a fighter. Notice I erase portions of her ear where the hair is falling on top of it. This helps to make it feel more united with her face. Overall, I aim to keep the shapes in her hair simple, with flowing spiked edges, some longer, some shorter, but overall united in their shape language. Using my mechanical pencil with 4B lead, I darken line work for the hair I've already drawn to make it pop, and just to get a feel for how it'll look. I don't want to get lost in detailing just yet, so I jump back into drawing the rest of her hair, continuing the same flow and shape language throughout. Feeling good about the layout, I jump back into darkening the overall line work. Personally, this part of the drawing process is one of the most satisfying for me because I really like working with clean, dark, and bold lines. It pops, and there's something about it that feels very structured and solidified. I don't know, perhaps it speaks to the left side of my brain, the part that they say is more controlled, analytical, and logical. It's sort of like looking at a well thought out blueprint or map where all the pieces just fit. Regardless though, I'm still a huge fan of loose and sketchy art styles where there's a lot of movement and flow. As I darken the line work for her eyes, I decide to add a few additional small strokes on her lower lids to imply that there are some lashes there. Overall, I'm really happy with her eyes, and from there, I jump to darkening the contours of her face. I also bring in a cast shadow under her chin to better anchor her head to the neck. Then, I continue to darken and enhance the boldness of the line work. As I look at my drawing coming together, so far, I really like how the shape language feels simplified and united with a lot of angular, sharp V-shapes found throughout this stylized character's portrait. The V-shapes are present in almost all regions, including her hair, eye corners, nose, and even her chin. This isn't a rule though. Manga and anime characters often feature simplified, angular shapes, but you can also incorporate a mix of organic ones, especially in the chin. You don't have to make it as sharp and pointed as the one I drew. Before I jump into the shading process, I wanted to mention that I've created 2 custom teaching graphics as supplemental study materials to help you if you'd like to try this tutorial out for yourself. This half of the first page gives a detailed digital breakdown of the construction lines with everything clearly labeled. The other side here shows manga eye variations with 3 options for male characters and 3 for female characters. The second page guides you step by step on how to draw the manga character, You can download these tutorial pages for free on my ArtStation page. The link is in the description below, as well as a list of all the tools and materials that I use in this video. Now, let's begin the shading process. Using sketchy and loose lines, I begin mapping out my shadows. As I do so, I try to keep in mind the direction of my lines. My aim is to conform the angle of my pencil strokes to the direction that her hair would naturally flow. I then add some values to her irises and draw a fold above both of her upper lids to better anchor her eyes to the skull. To finish up this first wave of shading, I begin by adding some light shadows to the left side of her face. I also make sure to add some on her forehead, being cast by her bangs. I continue on, adding shadows under her brows, on the left side of her nose, under her lower lip, and on the left side of her neck. Originally, I had set out to be very minimalistic with my shading, but I was honestly just really in the zone and enjoying myself. So at this point in the drawing, I decided to do a second wave of shading to push the values a little further. Throughout this final pass, I mostly stick to using my mechanical pencil with soft 4B lead, which is fast at laying down soft gradients. My aim here is mostly just to darken the shadows I've laid down and to smooth out the value transitions throughout the piece. Feeling quite good about how her face and hair look, I give more attention to her neck. I darken the cast shadows under her chin and then draw her clavicles and neck muscles. My aim is to keep this area faint and minimal, without overemphasizing. Honestly, there isn't too much for me to talk about during the rest of the shading process, so perhaps I'll just fall back, let the music play, and the shading process play out. And that's a wrap for this piece. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment. You know, all that good stuff. Perhaps let me know what type of tutorials or other content you'd like to see in the future. Also, I'd like to welcome all of my new subscribers and say thank you for pushing my last video past the 1K mark in views. It's a small but significant step in helping Sketch and Brew grow. Thank you so much for the support. For the next video, I plan on covering how to do a realistic rendition of eyes, and I also want to do something to commemorate the fall season. I don't know, perhaps draw a gnarly looking pumpkin or something, or Jason Voorhees for Halloween. Anyways, thank you, and I hope you guys will join me for the next one.